12 Secrets of King David to Unlock Wealth in Your Life. When we talk about wealth, many people only think of money, gold, houses, cars. But true wealth starts on the inside. It is born from a kind of thinking that most people never develop. It's not about how much you have in your pocket, but what you carry in your mind. And when we look at the story of one of the most remarkable characters ever recorded, King David, what we see is someone who deeply understood how wealth is first built in the mind and then manifests in the real world. He didn't start with anything. He was just a young man tending sheep in the field. No one saw value in him, not even his own family. But he carried something inside that changed everything, a consciousness of greatness. What David knew that almost no one understands is that the environment around you does not determine your destiny. He had strong faith, but he also had a trained mind that refused to settle for mediocrity. Even surrounded by limitations, he thought big. When others ran from the giant, he saw opportunity. When others hid from the problem, he stood up as the solution. That is wealth. That is a king's mindset. That's what you need to start activating inside yourself. Because no one becomes truly rich just by changing what they do. You need to change what you believe, what you repeat, what you allow yourself to think every day. David's first secret was his ability not to accept what others said about him. And you? How many times have you believed it when people said you wouldn't make it? How many times have you repeated to yourself, "This isn't for me"? Poverty starts with that inner conversation. While David was seen as small, he saw himself as strong. And it wasn't physical strength, it was inner strength. A strength that said, "I can, I will, I was born to win." That conversation changes everything. It changes how you get out of bed, how you face problems, how you react to criticism. The world may see you one way, but you need to see yourself as someone who was born to rule. Before we get into the teachings, make sure you've already subscribed to the channel. But only do that if you believe you were born to eat the best this land has to offer. If you feel you were born to win, write in the comments right now, "I am ready to prosper." Say it out loud too, because when you speak, your brain hears, and when you hear it, your mind starts to believe. David also understood a deep secret about honor. He honored what he had in his hands, even if it was little. He cared for the sheep as if he were caring for a throne, because he knew that those who are faithful with little are preparing themselves for much. Those who despise the little are rejecting the path to wealth. Some people are waiting for life to change before they start doing better, but it's the opposite. It's by doing your best that life changes. If you have little today, treat that little with excellence. Treat it with respect, organize, care for it, speak well of it, be grateful. Because when you start treating what you have as if it were much, you start attracting more. Another secret David carried was clarity of identity. He knew who he was. Even when the king tried to put armor on him that wasn't his, he refused, because he knew he didn't need to look like anyone else to win. He knew his victory would come from being himself. And here's a hard truth. Some people are poor, not because of lack of opportunity, but because they try to imitate others, because they don't trust their own path, because they lack the courage to be original. Wealth is attracted when you stop trying to please everyone and start walking firmly in what is uniquely yours. You need to understand that wealth is not a prize someone gives you. It's a consequence of what you carry inside. David never went after the throne. The throne came to him because he already had the posture of a king before he was recognized as one. And that is a powerful lesson. If you want to have more, you need to be more. You need to act like someone who has value, who has vision, who has discipline. Don't wait for the world to value you first. Value yourself. Hold your head high. Stop accepting crumbs. Change your language. Start speaking like someone who already has what they desire. When you change what you speak, you change what you feel. And when you change what you feel, you change what you attract. David was also a strategist. He didn't fight every battle. He carefully chose where to spend his energy. Some people are tired not because they work too much, but because they fight pointless battles. People arguing with those who don't deserve attention, trying to prove their worth to those who will never recognize it. That's a waste of mind. David was focused, and focus is wealth. When you learn to say no to what pulls you away from your growth, you start to make room for what truly brings you closer to the life you want. Another important point is that David didn't see himself as a victim. Even though he was forgotten, rejected, ignored, he didn't give in to victimhood. He took responsibility for his life. And you? Have you been carrying guilt, excuses, or courage? Because those who live justifying themselves never prosper. Wealth runs from those who always shift the blame. When you take responsibility for changing your story, you activate a power that no one can stop. Write in the comments now, the responsibility for my wealth is mine. Repeat it out loud. It's not the government, it's not the crisis, it's not the family, it's you. You decide what you think, what you say, what you focus on. Your mind is the field where either wealth or scarcity begins to grow. And no one can take that from you. If you change what you think, everything around you changes. King David also had a habit. He talked to himself. He spoke to his soul. He commanded his soul to align with faith, with confidence, with hope. Because he knew that emotions try to sabotage the journey. One day you're excited, the next you want to quit. One day you believe, the next you doubt. So he trained his soul. He spoke firmly. Trust. Don't be shaken. Rise up. That is a habit of the rich. Rich emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And you need to do the same. When your mind starts to sink, speak to it. When the urge to give up hits, declare that you will continue. You need to train your mind like a muscle. And that requires daily practice. There is a silent truth that few people realize. What separates those who live in abundance from those trapped in scarcity is not the external world, but the internal world. It's what you believe is possible. And this is David's next secret. He fed a faith that went beyond the logic of circumstances. He didn't look at the size of the problem, but at the greatness of the possibility. When he looked at the giant Goliath, he didn't see a threat. He saw a chance. And here's the key point. The rich in mindset see opportunities where others only see obstacles. The scarcity mind is trained to escape. The rich mind is trained to advance. Most people are stuck because they've become accustomed to protecting themselves from failure. They only attempt what seems safe. They only commit to what's guaranteed. But David shows that true victory requires taking a stand, even when everything seems against you. He had no sword, no armor, no support. But he had conviction, and that conviction moves mountains. The question for you is, where is your conviction? Do you truly believe you deserve an abundant life, or are you just dreaming about it while sabotaging yourself daily? David taught with his actions that faith without action produces no results. And here I'm not talking about action in the religious sense. I'm talking about practical action, of getting up every day with poise, even if things aren't yet as you'd like, of speaking like someone who's already overcome, even if the environment still seems cramped. David took a stand. He spoke clearly, without fear. When the giant mocked him, he didn't remain silent. He declared victory. What about you? When difficulties arise, what do you say? Because what you say reveals what you truly believe. Innerly wealthy people have the habit of declaring what they want, not what they fear. They don't spend the day complaining, criticizing, or grumbling. They discipline their mouths. And this is a daily exercise. You need to start listening to what you're saying. You need to correct your language. Words have direction. Every time you say, I can't, you're digging a hole inside your mind. Every time you say, this is too hard, you're adding to the mountain. Start saying what you want to live, even if it seems crazy, even if no one understands. Because the truth is, no one needs to understand your process. You're the one who will reap the rewards. Another secret about David, he was driven by purpose. He didn't do what he did just to be applauded or recognized. He was driven by something bigger. He knew his life mattered, and that changes everything, because when you understand that your existence has value, you stop wasting time on nonsense. Stop wasting energy trying to please those who don't understand you. Stop wasting your talent in environments that don't value you. Wealth manifests faster when you understand that you're here for something great. You weren't born to repeat your family's pattern. You weren't born to survive. You were born to make a mark on your generation. But that only happens when you decide to take control of your own mind. Write this in the comments now. I decide to take control of my mind, and say it out loud, because this decision is the beginning of a turning point. It's when you stop being driven by fear, insecurity, and laziness and start building a strong mindset, a mindset that sustains wealth. Because wealth isn't just about acquiring it, it's about maintaining it. And only those with a strong mindset can maintain what they achieve. Some people even manage to earn more money, but lose it all because their mindset is still one of scarcity. They still feel guilty about having it, afraid of losing it, ashamed of growing. This needs to leave your life now. Another of David's secrets was his routine of inner connection. He never let his mind wander. He reflected, meditated, and wrote. Many of the Psalms he left behind are records of deep conversations with himself and his beliefs. You need to do the same. Start writing down your power statements. Start repeating wealth affirmations every day. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple and straightforward. Something like, I attract opportunities every day. My mind is programmed for growth. I deserve a full life. Say this while looking in the mirror. Say it with conviction. Make it a habit, because a repeated thought becomes a belief, and a strong belief controls your life. You need to be vigilant with your thoughts. They sabotage you when you least realize it. An uncontrolled mind begins projecting failure before you even try. It begins imagining the worst, and then you freeze. So every day when you wake up, declare something positive. Before bed, feed your mind with ideas for growth. Surround yourself with content that elevates your vision. Stop consuming things that reinforce scarcity. Some people spend all day filling themselves with bad news, gossip, and negativity. Then they don't understand why they can't prosper. Their minds are full of garbage. Clear your mind. Protect your focus. David also knew the importance of waiting for the right time. But it wasn't a passive wait. It was an active wait. While waiting for the throne to arrive, he prepared, he trained, he strengthened himself. Waiting wasn't an excuse for stagnation. It was a period of development. Some people say, when God wants it, it will happen. But they live in a rut. They live without action. Waiting isn't about sitting idly by. Waiting is about working with excellence today, even if you don't see results yet. It's about trusting that the harvest will come, but not stopping planting. And finally, one of David's deepest secrets was gratitude. Even when everything was going wrong, he managed to be thankful, because he understood that gratitude changes the vibration of the mind. When you give thanks, you open up. When you complain, you close down. It may seem simple, but this detail changes everything. Start being truly grateful, not just with words, but with actions. Be thankful for what you have, even if it's not ideal yet. Be thankful for life, for the day, for the opportunities. Gratitude connects you with abundance, and no one can be truly rich if they live with a bitter heart. One of the greatest signs of someone's readiness for wealth is how they react when things go wrong. While many give up, rebel, or wallow in self-pity, David demonstrated something few master: emotional resilience. He knew how to lose without losing himself. He knew how to cry without giving in. He knew how to acknowledge mistakes without letting them define who he was. And this is one of the greatest riches anyone can acquire: the ability to remain whole, even when everything around him seems to be falling apart. It's easy to stay positive when everything is going well. What's difficult is when you try, strive, believe, and fail. When what you expected doesn't happen, when doors close, when people disappoint you. In those moments, it's as if your mind wants to drag you back into the hole, reminding you that you'll never get anywhere. But David had something stronger than emotions. He had clarity of purpose. He knew that falling didn't mean failure. He knew that what was inside was more important than what was happening outside. If you want to unlock your own wealth, you need to develop this strength. You need to stop giving up so quickly. Stop believing that one mistake defines your ability. Stop seeing each loss as the end of the road. Start seeing it as part of the process. David made mistakes. David lost. David was rejected, persecuted, humiliated, but at no point did he let these situations diminish his vision of himself. And that's exactly what you need to learn to do. Protect your vision even in difficult times. Repeat this out loud now. What I experience today does not define my worth. Also, write it in the comments, because when you write, you reinforce it. Your worth isn't in your bank balance. It's not in your past history. It's in what you choose to believe from now on. David was called many things, but he chose to believe what he heard inside, that he had a purpose for greatness. You do too, but you will only manifest that purpose if you decide to no longer be held hostage by your failures. And here comes another crucial point. David didn't run away from pain. He lived it, but he didn't wallow in it. He used it as fuel. He cried yes. But soon after, he got up and asked, "What do I need to do now?" This is the question that turns defeats into victories. While the weak mind asks, "Why is this happening to me?" the rich mind asks, "How can I grow from this?" And that changes everything, because you move from the victim position to the author of your own story. Many people are stuck because they're still trapped in old hurts. People who don't thrive because they carry invisible burdens. David knew how to forgive. He knew how to release what hurt, and this is essential. Resentment blocks prosperity because it takes up space in the mind. Space that should be filled with ideas, faith, and clarity is being used to fuel resentment. If you want to grow, you need to empty it. You need to let go. Not because others deserve it, but because you deserve to live free. David didn't worry about controlling everything. He knew there were things beyond his reach. But what was within his reach, he did with excellence. This is the rich mindset. Some people live paralyzed because they want guarantees about everything, but life doesn't offer guarantees. What it does offer are opportunities disguised as challenges. While you wait for the perfect moment, others are acting courageously. And it's this courage that attracts doors. It's this willingness that changes destinies. Another powerful detail: David knew how to bounce back quickly. He didn't spend days dwelling on what went wrong. He repositioned himself. He refocused. He refocused. He refocused on his purpose. This is mental discipline, and mental discipline is a muscle you need to train every day. When you learn to bounce back quickly, you gain time. You become more productive, more decisive, stronger. And this strength attracts new opportunities. Write down, "I choose to get up quickly." Say that out loud too, because it's not about never falling. It's about not taking long to get up. The faster you react, the further you'll go. The more you train your mind to do this, the more your life will align with what you desire. Now pay attention. David wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the most prepared, nor the most experienced, but he was the most determined. This is a pattern you'll see in all people who truly prosper: determination. And determination doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. It comes from a firm decision not to accept an ordinary life, not to settle for less, not to live half-heartedly. This is what fueled David's strength. If you still compare yourself to others, thinking you don't have what it takes, you're destroying your ability to grow. David didn't need to be like anyone else. He was authentic. He used what he had: a stone, a slingshot, a strong heart. That was enough to change everything. And here's a powerful lesson. What you have in your hands today is enough to get started. Stop expecting to have everything right. Use what you have. Use your voice. Use your story. Use your courage. If David had waited to be ready like the other soldiers, he would never have faced Goliath. He didn't wait. He showed up. He took a stand. And that's what you need to do. Wealth comes to those who show up, to those who make themselves available, to those who act, even when afraid, even when in doubt, because no one feels 100% ready. But those who act with what they have activate invisible forces that open paths. Are you getting this? So now write in the comments, "I show up to win," and live that phrase. Make it part of your routine. Because every day you take a stand, your mind will understand that you are in control, that you will no longer be ruled by doubt, fear, or the past. You are taking control. There's one key point for anyone who wants to escape a life of limitations and enter a phase of true abundance: understanding who you're connecting with. David knew this better than anyone. He was intentional in his relationships. He didn't hang out with just anyone. He didn't expose himself to just any environment. He didn't accept just any advice, because he knew that the people around him could either lift you up or sink you. And when you begin to understand the power of the right connection, you change your reality faster than you imagine. Wealth doesn't come alone. It comes with good connections, with people who lift you up, who challenge you to grow, who inspire you to think bigger. But what happens to many people is the opposite. They surround themselves with complainers, doubters, and those trapped in scarcity. And then they don't understand why they remain stuck. David, even young, knew how to filter his company. He distanced himself from those who distracted him, and he drew closer to those who helped strengthen his vision. When David had the chance to connect with people who recognized him, he wasn't shy about speaking up. He didn't pretend to be lesser to please. He didn't dim his light to avoid causing discomfort. And this is a common mistake. Some people sabotage their connections for fear of appearing ambitious, for shame in talking about their dreams, for fear of being judged. But pay attention. What diminishes you when you talk about growth isn't your company, it's your block. You need to start allowing yourself to live surrounded by greatness. Start observing. Who are the voices you hear every day? What kind of ideas do you allow into your mind? Who have you called friends? There are people you call partners, but who are holding your life in place. These are people who, when you talk about a new project, scoff. When you try to change a habit, they criticize. When you talk about getting rich, they say, "That's not for people like us." And if you hear this for too long, you start to believe it. You start to self-sabotage. David had strategic people by his side. He had true friends like Jonathan who believed in him even before he became king. He knew how to recognize divine alliances. But he also had the wisdom to keep his distance from those who sought to manipulate him, like Saul, who tried to keep him trapped in a system that suffocated him. David was no fool. He was loyal but not blind. He was just but not passive. He knew when to walk away, and you need to learn this too. It's not a sin to cut off connections that hold you back. It's intelligence. Write this in the comments now. I choose to walk with those who motivate me. Say it out loud too, because this choice will determine how far you can go. Alone you can walk, but with the right connections you fly. And more than that, you protect yourself. Because the environment that surrounds you directly affects your energy levels, your mood, your creativity. If you live in an environment where everyone thinks small, you have to fight twice as hard to keep your mind aloft. And one more secret here, David didn't just seek good connections. He was also a good connection. He was someone others wanted to be around, someone who brought people together, who lifted them up, who positively influenced them. This is richness of character. Some people want to connect with successful people, but they still live spreading negativity. They still live trapped in gossip, empty conversations, and judgments. Prosperity moves away from those who live this way, because no one who has built something solid wants to connect with those who only know how to destroy. You need to be the kind of person who inspires confidence, who speaks of the future, not the past, who points out paths, not flaws, who builds, not sabotages, who nurtures faith, not fear. This allows the right connections to begin to find you. And more than that, it makes you begin to become someone hard to forget. David was remembered even when no one saw him, because his name carried weight. He was honest, he was courageous, he was true to what he believed, and that attracted doors, it attracted alliances. Maybe today you're surrounded by people who don't understand you, who don't support you, who don't believe in you. And that can be hard, but it's not permanent. What's permanent is what you choose to do with it. Will you hide, shut down, diminish yourself? Or will you start speaking out clearly, seeking out environments and connections that respect you, inspire you, and challenge you to grow? The scarcity mind says, I need to please so I don't lose anyone. The wealth mind says, I need to position myself so I don't miss my destiny. Do you understand the difference? It's not about being arrogant. It's about having clarity. It's about not selling yourself short. It's about recognizing that if you want to go far, you need to hang out with people who are also hungry to grow. And remember, you attract what you transmit. If you walk with a winning attitude, you'll begin to attract people who recognize your value. If you speak with conviction, you'll attract the right attention. If you're true to your purpose, doors will open. But it all starts with the decision to value yourself. David valued himself even when no one saw value in him, and that was key. Here is one of the greatest secrets David mastered, and which very few people understand in depth: the power of vision. David was guided by vision. He saw beyond. While others were caught up in what they saw, he was focused on what he believed. This is the difference between those who thrive and those who merely survive. Those who live by looking only at what is before their eyes live limited. Those who learn to look at what doesn't yet exist, but know it can happen, begin to attract what others consider impossible. David, even as a young shepherd, already had the vision of a king. He didn't need to be on the throne to feel prepared, because the throne was already within him. And this is what you need to begin to understand. Wealth doesn't begin when you have it. It begins when you see it. It's what you see within that will determine what you manifest outside. And if what you see of yourself is small, limited, scarce, there's no point in waiting for something great to come from outside. You need to change the image you hold of yourself. David's vision wasn't based on circumstances. He didn't need everything to be favorable to believe. He truly believed amidst the chaos, even when he was persecuted, even when he seemed to have lost everything. This is what makes someone unshakable, because those with vision don't live guided by the day's news. They live anchored in what they carry inside. They live based on a certainty that goes beyond logic. Vision sustains you on difficult days. Vision propels you when everything seems at a standstill. And here's a warning: your vision is under attack every day. When you watch something that makes you believe only others can do it, when you hear someone say, "It'll never work for you," no do. When you start repeating phrases like, "I wasn't born for this," "It's too hard," "It's only for those with money," all of this is poison to your vision. It's like sand thrown in your eyes. It gradually blinds you until one day you wake up resigned to a life that has nothing to do with what you could live. David protected his vision. He didn't let the words of others determine his focus. He heard mockery, contempt, criticism, but none of it made him doubt what he carried inside. Because he knew, if I lose my vision, I lose everything, and the same goes for you. If you lose your vision, you become a survivor. Someone who lives only waiting for the next problem. Someone who only works to pay the bills. Someone who only dreams when they're asleep, because awake they no longer believe in anything. You need to protect your vision like you protect a treasure. Nourish it every day. Take care of what you see, what you hear, what you think. Start writing your vision. Start imagining your life as it could be. Imagine it in detail. How do you want to live? Where do you want to live? How do you want to dress? What do you want to eat? How do you want to feel? This is training a rich mind. A mind that creates before conquering. A mind that plants before harvesting. Write this in the comments now. I see beyond the circumstances. Say it out loud too, because this phrase needs to sink into your system. It needs to break the limited pattern you've perhaps carried for years and start acting like someone who sees something big. You can't have the vision of a king and the attitude of a slave. You can't say you believe in abundance and continue behaving like someone who accepts crumbs. Your vision needs to shape your actions. David acted like a king even before the crown arrived, and that's why it arrived. Another fundamental point: vision without discipline is an illusion. Dreaming alone isn't enough. You need to act every day according to what you see. If you want a rich life, you need to start thinking like someone who already lives it. You need to organize your routine, take care of your appearance, improve your way of speaking, walking, and positioning yourself. You need to say no to everything that doesn't align with the life you want. This is alignment. It's coherence between vision and action. David wasn't a distracted dreamer. He was an active dreamer. He acted. He trained, he prepared, he faced. He didn't say, "One day I'll win." He lived like someone who had already won within. And this is the final key that closes everything we've discussed so far. You need to win within before you can win without. You need to be a king within before you can sit on the throne. You need to be rich in your mind before you see money in your hands. You need to believe so much that nothing around you can convince you otherwise. And if you've made it this far, it's because something within you is already changing. Your mind is already being aligned with wealth. And now, what will you do with this? Will you return to your usual routine? Will you remain silent? Will you doubt? Or will you rise up and start living like someone who finally understands what needs to change? The decision is in your hands. But I challenge you to write in the comments right now, "My vision is bigger than my limitations." Say it, write it, live it, because that's the spirit of David, and that's the spirit that attracts true wealth, a wealth that begins in the mind, grows stronger in the heart, and overflows into life. Everyone wants to get rich. Everyone wants to have money to spare, live comfortably, and enjoy the finer things in life. But almost no one talks about the most important part: inner preparation. It's not just about having money in your bank account. It's about having the emotional, mental, and even spiritual structure to sustain what you achieve. And here's a truth few accept. If you receive $10 million today but still have a poor mind, that money won't save you. It will destroy you, slowly or quickly. Sounds harsh, maybe, but it's real. The Bible, a book of practical wisdom, says that a blessing anticipated can become a curse. This means that if something arrives in your life prematurely, before your preparation, before your maturity, what was supposed to be a door of joy can turn into a door of confusion. Wealth without principles is like giving a luxury car to someone who doesn't know how to drive. You'll be thrilled in the first few minutes, but the accident is only a matter of time. And you need to reflect honestly. Do you want to get rich, or do you want to show off? Because those who truly want to get rich understand that money is just a means, not the end. Money without wisdom becomes uncontrolled consumption. It becomes an inflated ego. It becomes family arguments. It becomes anxiety. It becomes waste. Some people are always saying, "If I had money, my life would be perfect." But the truth is that money only magnifies what a person already is. If you're disorganized, you'll be even more disorganized. If you're impulsive, you'll make worse choices. If you're ungrateful, you'll lose yourself in arrogance. Therefore, preparation is essential. Before asking for wealth, ask for wisdom. Before seeking more, learn to manage what you already have. Because if you don't know how to manage 1,000 reais, you won't know how to manage 1,000,000. There's no point in skipping steps. There's no point in pretending you're ready. Life tests you. And when the blessing arrives, it reveals what's hidden within you. Imagine your prosperous life. Truly, imagine it clearly. Living where you want, living the way you've always dreamed, having access to the best. It's possible, but along with this desire, you need to seek knowledge, principles and maturity. Because true prosperity isn't just about financial results, it's about daily building of character, habits, and firm decisions. Do you want financial freedom? Then develop self-control. Do you want to live well? Then learn to take good care of what you have today. Do you want more opportunities? Learn to recognize the small ones that already appear in your path. Wealth manifests through responsibility, and the more prepared you are, the safer your growth will be. Write in the comments, "I am preparing to sustain my wealth." Say it firmly. Say it out loud, because it needs to sink in. It needs to become part of your identity. You don't want to be just another person who won and lost. You want to build something that will last, something you can look at and say, "I became this on the inside before I achieved it on the outside." And here's a piece of advice that can change your trajectory. Every day, do something that prepares you for the rich life you want to live. Read, study, observe, improve your communication, control your impulses, treat the little things well, honor the process. Because wealth won't change you, it will only show you who you truly are. Don't rush, have purpose. Don't just want to know what to do with what you have. Because money can be an excellent servant, but it's a terrible master. It needs to be guided, not to guide your life. You were born to rule, and for that you need structure, and structure is built on principles. If you want to hear more content about wealth and prosperity, I left a video here on the screen for you to watch now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the like button. See you there. Hugs.